First off, you got to give a lot of credit to Concord. I mean, Coach Osborne and Coach Akers have their team playing at a high level, and it was by committee. I mean, you look at the breakdown of their scoring, Emily Booth goes off for 19, but it's a testament to how hard that kid works. You see it on film, we talked about it. She's an energy kid, she's an unspoken hero, she's like our Johnny. And she had 7 rebounds. Like, the kid averages over 5 to 6 rebounds a game. So hats off to them. They've got their team playing on a very high level, and I thought every single surge we put at them, they fought back and they didn't collapse, which is something when we played them up here last year, we were able to keep putting it on them and we maintained the lead, and it was a reverse role. And again, it's just their team is playing with a different sense of bounce, a different sense of swagger, and a different sense of confidence, and that's the difference in the game today is our surges weren't enough to dig us out of the hole that we put ourselves in.
Kyle, Dawn and I were talking about this. You get Fitzwater in trouble, and conventional wisdom would say, okay, now's the time to make a run when she's on the bench. They actually seemed to play better when she was on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it did is it allowed them to kind of open things up a little bit more. So now all of a sudden you get Poole and you get May, who are tremendous players, with more space, and then it elevates the play of the Booths of the world, because now if she's just as heady as she is, but she's a high IQ veteran senior player, I mean, I think she's been in the league longer than Johnny, right? Johnny's been in the league 7 years, she's been in the league 8,
right,
I think, Don. The kid knows how to play, so now we're putting all these players in space, and it's not as much congestion around the basket, and now it elevates the value of those kind of kids. So I didn't know, what the solution was. We tried a couple different things. I just thought that going into the half, that second quarter, we started to see their premier players get too comfortable. Too many sideline advances, too much catching the ball in space. And when you give good players those opportunities, it's hard regardless of who's on the floor.
Is that what led to that? Because it seemed like that little spurt right at the end of the second quarter, from there we were kind of digging back the rest of the way there.
Yeah, and again, it's hard to play uphill when you're playing against teams that are rolling with a ton of confidence and with a team that's got some really talented players. And they're letting them play. They're letting them play, and they're letting them go make plays for one another, and they're doing that. And I thought one thing that was probably not talked about enough throughout the game, or maybe not seen enough to the outside world, is we held them down, a team that really can give you trouble on the glass with their size and length. To 5 offensive rebounds, I think it was, in the first half. Second half, they went off for 10. Yeah. So 2 or 3 times we forced May into shots that we want her to take, or Fitzwater into shots we want her to take. And I'm sitting there happy as hell that that's the one they take, only for them to get the board. And those are game-changing plays. When you're trying to get back in games, all of a sudden you think you got to stop, and now it's not.
Yeah, it just seemed like they had so many kids just really busting it trying to get to the boards and stuff like that. Because they talk about, Fitzwater's the great, the big kid, and you think about her. But you're right, it wasn't just her. I mean, there were all these other kids were going and pulling rebounds and stuff.
Yeah, and it's what our secret of success was, and what Coach Alma built this program on, and what I'm trying to maintain, because that's one philosophical belief that we're very similar in, is you have to have depth with energy, effort, enthusiasm, and most importantly, confidence to go make plays. And I think that's what you see in this Concord team versus other Concord teams, is it's not just depth talent-wise, it's depth in all the other categories that win basketball games. So every time we try to put it on them and make a run, somebody made an energy, effort, and enthusiasm play that then just pierces you again and sets you back and breaks the run.
So how do you counter that?
It comes down to you've got to finish every play. And I think the hardest part is it's really hard to counter it, Don. It's hard to counter that kind of effort if you're working uphill. The idea is not to get to a point where you're working uphill and now you have to fight that battle, because that battle is tough to win.
And you have to expend more energy that way too.
Exactly. And you see down the stretch of the game we're doing things we traditionally don't do. I mean, we're not a team. How often do you see us get up to pressure? Now, I thought our players did a great job of locking in and getting early ones so we could extend the game as much as possible. But we had to do some things that weren't characteristic of us defensively. And when you go out of your comfort zone as a team, it's never a good thing.
Moving over to Marissa here, that's a pretty good game. Do you get, well, and just, a triple-double, it's been, trying to think, right off the top of my head, I don't remember the last one, it might have been Kylie or somebody, but it's been a few years since we've had one, and they don't come very often. And, do you get, going into this game, you and Fitzwater were like 1-2 in the nation, block shots and some other categories. Do you get more up when you're playing a player like that?
I don't really pay attention to that stuff. I just go out and try to play really hard every game.
And it sounds so cliche to hear you say that, but honest to God, like, that's her. Like, we told her she got a triple-double. The team celebrated more than she does. Marissa's ticked off right now in her own way because we didn't win. And that's a shame that we can't celebrate such an accomplishment right now.
Is that one of the more complete teams in this conference? They seem to have all the pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are. You look across the board and everybody that's kind of in the top 5 or 6. Everyone does it a little differently. Concord and us are probably the most similar. But I think that they can just come at you in different ways. They can play small. They can play big, obviously. He's got them playing 2 different defenses that give you different looks and try to keep you off balance. But I think the reason they're probably complete, and that's a good way to say it, Sean, is it just comes down to the depth with the kids that make winning basketball plays. That is all the difference in the world. It is winning basketball plays. They have depth with that. They've got kids that have bought into that versus kids that just want to play a role.
Again, with Marissa, going up against a kid like Fitzwater, very seldom you run into a kid that's actually taller than you. And what kind of adjustments do you have to make to go up against her? And obviously you made some excellent ones to come away with 41 points and 12 rebounds, 11 blocks. But
I think I just need to be aware that she is the same height as me, so I could get blocked. Coach told me to go left because I can extend better with my left hand and go into her so that I wasn't fading or being soft, which took me a little while.
But it worked.
How would you like to see a little more balance scoring throughout the lineup?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you see Morgan gave us a tremendous lift off the bench like she's been doing. And she's rewarded for that because I think Morgan is playing her butt off with the energy and the effort in those categories I keep referencing. But yeah, in a perfect world, it's hard to watch, not citing specific players, but just not getting a lift collectively. Like what we've been able to do when we win this year, and I mean, it's crazy to say this when you score 84 points, but I think in league we're averaging over 90 to this point. You expect almost that we have the depth that we're going to have at least 3 kids putting up 15 a night because of the way we shoot the basketball and the pace we're playing with. Mm-hmm. And so to see that not happen, and yeah, obviously we would have loved to have seen some more balanced scoring here.
And I think that might have got overlooked a little bit with Marissa having a huge game, but this was kind of a tough shooting night for you guys. You got some good looks, just didn't go down.
Yeah. I mean, when we were making a run in the fourth quarter, I mean, you still scored 22 points in the fourth, but the reality was is we got some really good looks from 3, and we had 1 or 2 of Marissa's shots kind of roll around. I don't know what's going on. We can't get over that lid on that hoop sometimes for you, but it's we got good looks. We did. It's again, we've got to eliminate the game-winning plays that they made to keep that uphill battle going for the last whatever it was 24 minutes of the game.
You get those looks, but like we talked about, I mean, you've expended so much energy to that point, so then the arm's a little short, the lift isn't exactly there. I mean, it's all relevant, I think.
Yeah, and I think, again, when I walked in, I said to you guys, it took me a little longer to get here because we're dealing with the balance of being emotional versus having emotion. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what these games do to you is they grind out a little bit your emotion. And we had one of those Thursday night, and we had another one tonight. So it's hard down the stretch of games, and that's why you've got to step up. And again, it's why you can't play uphill like we were forced to do for the better part of 24 minutes of the last part of the game. It's too hard when you're up, when you're constantly down anywhere from 2 possessions to 5 to cut that to a 1 possession game.